Listen, there's nothing wrong with where you're at right now because you're in a good place and you don't need to front like you're just out here sweeping audiences away, just turning people away. Like, it's like, let's just be real with wherever we're at in life, everybody. Like, you don't have to pretend you're a millionaire. You don't have to pretend that you're struggling. Like, you're just where you are.
Well, yeah. And, you know, I've always liked that. I mean, one of my favorite things back in the day was to show the places I was performing and show how bad they were.
Yeah.
And people would be like, don't do that. It does not make you look good. And I'm like, I'm not necessarily trying to look good. I'm trying to show you what I'm doing out here. I like to show the grind. Now, I'm not grinding so hard these days because, you know, I mean, I'm out here doing shows every weekend, but as far as like the kind of shows me and you used to do where we'd drive up to Wisconsin and then drive all over the state going a different room each night, not quite knowing what you'd be walking into, you know?
Yeah, the kinds of places that sends a 33-year-old woman into a mental breakdown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We would go to, like we went up to Wisconsin one time, and the first room was a place called the Enchanted Barn. Which was really great. It was like an old barn, and they did a lot of weddings there, but they decided they wanted to do some comedy. And I don't know if it was that night after the show or if we got there a night early. I don't remember exactly what it was, but we just sat around and we had pizza out of a wood
kombucha.
And kombucha and pizza out of a wood. What is it?
It was lovely.
And it was
wood
just
fire. Yeah.
And they had a guy playing music out there. And it was like really great.
Yeah, and the owner really kind of wined us and dined us on kombucha.
Yeah, and it was so fun. And then the next day, we drove up to a place not quite too far from there. Oh, yeah, and he let us stay at his barn that night.
Yeah.
For that show, too. But it was like a bowling alley or something. It was like a restaurant, and they had it was a movie theater. The back room used to be a movie theater. And they took us back there, and then the microphone didn't really work, and it took a while to get that fixed. And then that show was pretty good, though.
Yeah.
You remember that girl was there with her dog, and her dog had like an Instagram page, and she was like, she had moved to L.A., and she was talking to us out back. And then the next day we drive out to this bar, like a hotel bar, where they had the comedy was in a conference room. And there was no stage. We're just kind of standing out on the floor. And I loved it.
I did so many with you and without you, just hotel conference rooms in nondescript, in the process of being abandoned small towns with people that did not want to hear my comedy just from looking at me. And I would either win them over or painfully do 25 minutes to lukewarm, contemptful laughter. And that gnaws at your soul after a while.
It does. You really even like close your eyes to say a good portion of that.
Because
I mean, it's like, it was like you were really digging deep. You closed your eyes for a long time while you were saying that.
Because I have to retrieve the memory from my mind because I've chosen to block it out. And I had to block it out. Otherwise, it just haunts you. It made me go and I went somewhat insane for like a year and quit comedy and never returned. So it's like, there's a darkness in that.
Yeah, there's a couple of ways it can go, really. I mean, probably a few ways it can go. Like for me, it really molded and shaped the way that I do comedy. When I was living in Charleston, I had a very slow delivery, and I'm still pretty slow, but if you saw some of the old videos, I'm talking a very slow Stephen Wright, Mitch Hedberg type thing, where I would just go real slow, and, I was trying to go for a real kind of hipster vibe. And then, you just start working the road out here like that, and you're like, all right, I got to pick it up. I got to go faster because these audiences are not down with what I'm doing. I know I'm funny, so I got to pick it up. And then, you know, you just start picking it up. And then one day you throw on a hat to be funny and you're like, oh, this is who I am now. And,
yeah, my hat was the whole fact that I was a Canadian living in the South.
Yeah.
That was my hat. And I got sick of wearing that hat.
Yeah.
And some people just straight up looked at me like I was a foreigner immigrant and they didn't like it. I mean, I'm all projecting. I don't know like what they were thinking of me. And I had a lot of good times, but the travel made me weary.
Oh, yeah.
Made me weary.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it that people don't realize. It's like, you know, especially now I'm flying everywhere and I get frustrated with flying. Obviously, I've been talking about it more and more. And every time I go away for the weekend, I call Hannah and complain about something that went on. But it's just like, I just think that's natural when you do anything so many times. You just have complaints about it. It's like the airport is like my work. It would be like me coming home from work and being like, can you believe Donna said this today? But instead, it's just different airports all across the country. And the TSA is my coworkers and they keep feeling me up.
Yeah.
You know?
You ain't getting no respect, but you keep showing back up.
Yes.
And you don't have a choice.
And you don't have a choice. There's nothing you can do. And I've started doing carry-on bags instead of checking my bags. But I think I'm going back to checking the bags. I mean, so many times they open my bag now, they pull my bag to the side and they got to check it. And you know what they find? Every time it's my Bible. They find my Bible in there and they go, oh, and they just, as soon as they see it, they go, it's just like something flags them about that. I go, yeah, that's the power of God in there. That got flagged. That's what I say.
Do they think you're using it as like a decoy or something to, like if you were a criminal, like carrying a Bible to make you look better?
I don't know. Because they won't say. Because I asked the guy last time, I go, what's setting the machine off? I said, I'm new to not checking a bag, and I want to pack in a way that's not setting off the machine. And they have no answers. And I'm like, all right, well, what are you even looking for? What did you hope to find? They don't know.
The drugs in your other pocket?
Yeah.